Once people are at a country club and they see it, they don't feel like, hey, this is snobby, this is this. I mean, everybody has a good time there, and everybody gets along for the most part. Everything you do costs money, obviously. So how and when you spend your money, and the best way to get the best ROI in clubs is membership. It's a dues business.
Hey, welcome back to the Spotlight. My name's Tim Brandon, and today I've got an awesome guest. He's a friend of mine. I'm with Jay Biggs, who's the GM and president at our Kokomo Country Club. And I'm just so glad that he's here with us. He's been with us for a little over a year now.
Year and a half almost.
And I've got a sort of front row seat to watch the transformation that's happened at the club, not only with the facilities, but with sort of the culture and the community. And it's just been awesome to see firsthand. So thank you so much for being on the show. I know you, but for those watching, sort of listening in, tell us a little bit about you, Jay.
Thanks for having me. I'm from New Albany. Grew up playing golf at a country club. Always loved that life. Just great experience as a kid growing up with the pools, the clubhouse, the food, the golf, all that kind of thing. And after college, I decided I want to be a golf pro and got into the golf business way back when. And it was there was a apprenticeship
what was the university then? I know you told me in the past. What was the university that you went to again?
I went to Indiana. I went to IU.
Yeah, okay, big IU.
Business school at IU. So very fortunate there. My dad about killed me when I told him I want to be a golf pro after going to school. But I loved it and started out as an assistant pro like everybody does and worked my way up and was very fortunate to get to Firestone Country Club in Akron, which was a big well-known club throughout the country and throughout the world, actually. And didn't realize at the time that ClubCorp owned them. And ClubCorp, now they probably own about 250 clubs, but they owned 200 clubs at the time when I joined the team there. And had some success from the retail side, just from different golf pros that I worked for. And it was a way to make an impact as a young assistant pro. And so I was an assistant there for 1 year. Then I was made the head pro the next year, head of director of golf. So I was the number 2 operations guy in golf there. It was a $25 million business, open 7 months. So it was a big club with a tour event, that kind of thing. 3 golf courses, 91 overnight rooms. So a great way to really get into big time golf as a young guy. From there, as ClubCorp bought clubs, usually bought really high end clubs that were newer, gated community type clubs where the developer did well with the land, but really didn't do well with the club. So the clubs struggled and they were in just great locations with great customer base. So I'd come in and didn't really realize it at the time, but figured out that the growth and the success of that club was really based on, the programming's a big word. It means a lot of things, but having the right membership offerings, the right team, all these different elements that any business has to put this together to where everybody want to join the club. One thing about a club is, you can go to the one room down in a club at Kokomo Country Club, for instance. There's one group that the folks have been there a really long time, all hang out, and they know what the club is to them, and which is great. That's where I would be if I was a member, just hanging out at the club. But that's 40, 50 folks, and we're to the point where we've got almost 300 members. So there's 250 other folks that are looking for something a little bit different. So you've got all these avenues of experiences that you have to figure out how to get most experiences for the most people at a high level to where they're having a good time, they're finding value in what you're doing. So anyway, I started learning that as I would move from club to club. And like I said, I really didn't realize it, but I went from there to, I think I've lived in 14 homes, and I would move to different clubs as we would purchase them. I was the guy they would always say, hey, you want to go to this club? And it was a nice club in a nice town, and I had the opportunity to do it. I did it. I liked coming in and being the fix-it type guy. I became that guy from my experience at doing it. But so ended up doing that with ClubCorp for a long time. Went back to Firestone as the director of operations and membership. So I was got out of the golf pro side of the business in 2004 and got into the management side. And that time I was selling memberships and selling our private events, selling all the hospitality for our tour event, and really got into that side of the business. And I really enjoyed that after figuring out the programming from the golf side. Then from there we bought. It was after 2008 when everything wasn't so good in the club world. We didn't buy a club for about 3 years, and then ClubCorp bought Country Club of the South in Atlanta, and I went down there as the GM of that club, and it was a great Nicholas design. It was it was the first planned community in Atlanta, North Atlanta, Johns Creek now, which was Alpharetta, and Whitney Houston lived there. Usher lived in there. It was cool. It was like L.A. on the Atlanta side, but and it was one of those clubs that the club went bankrupt. They actually auctioned it on the courtyard steps, the way they do it in Georgia, with that kind of neighborhood. So clubs can, when they're not attached to the neighborhood with automatic social dues or whatever it may be, even clubs in great locations can struggle if ran poorly. So went there for a couple of years, and we flipped that club around pretty quick, which was actually easy. As I said, it was a great location, easier than most. And then I got a call to go to Pinehurst. I was the senior VP of golf at Pinehurst Resort and Country Club over the golf operation, golf course maintenance operation, retail, and we had a 3,400 member country club. So
that's a lot of people.
Yeah, I did that, and had some friends that were developers, and they wanted to purchase some clubs. So we purchased 3 clubs, and I ran the golf. They all had golf courses around them. So I ran the golf and was an owner of the clubs, and we bought a 4th club. These were all in North Carolina. And then during COVID, we sold the clubs and was able to somewhat retire. Did that. I caddied for a little bit at Valhalla. I'm from New Albany, as I said, right across the river is Valhalla. So I did that for 2 months, and then they closed for the PGA Championship. They were redoing their fairways, converting from bent grass to zoysia, and they needed some help at Pebble Beach. So 4 of us went out, and they rented us a house right by Spanish Bay and caddied for 2 months at Pebble Beach.
That's not too bad.
No, it was great. So I always say it's like being in college, but I had money, because you're making good money as a caddy there. But it was, I was 55 years old and was able to enjoy. When you caddy, I think it's like playing. You're just not hitting the shots, but you're with great people and having a good time on the golf course. And Pebble Beach, there's no place prettier. Came back, and then there's my club in Floyd Knobs, Indiana, Valley View, that I was assistant pro there. My first job. Interesting situation. The city owns the golf course, but the members own the clubhouse and run the club with an operating agreement for the city. So they were really having troubles, and the city and the members asked me to come help them. And I said, I'll help you for 9 months and, help find a guy to run the club. And after 9 months, I saw so much potential. I just couldn't walk away because it's just a great club in a great area. So I started helping them, still help them. We doubled the revenues. We started out with 204 members. Now we're up to 480 members. And that's been a great experience. I enjoy it. And then one of my good friends is in the furniture business. He's my best friend, and he's good friends with Ken Lucas Furniture. And I came up playing the golf. Yeah, great guy. Played in a golf outing. There's a furniture reps golf outing that Kenny puts on at Kokomo Country Club. My first time there, and it was September, October of 2024. And afterwards, I was downstairs having dinner and a beer with the group, and Kenny came up and told us a little bit about the club, what was going on at the club, and gave me a tour and said, hey, we'd like some help. Would you help us? And like I said, I like helping clubs. I hate to see member ran country clubs struggle and financially essentially go away. The Machine Gamashas, and there's a lot of clubs in this part of the country that are no longer country clubs, go public or go away. But looked around, and I started helping the club and put together some programming for them, membership programming, and helped find a helped find a manager. And when we got down to it, it's like, man, I'll just come up and help the club. So I've been doing it for a year and a half almost. And I come up Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays most weeks. Other can change, and have start helping the club, and had some pretty good success with it. And it's such a great club and great community that it's a lot of fun. So.
Hi, this is Ariel, Fraud Manager at Community First Bank of Indiana. We hope you've been enjoying the episode so far. If you're a business owner, you already know that there's a lot to manage every day. And unfortunately, fraud is one of those risks that never takes a day off. As you're listening today, here's a question that you might be glad you asked. What can I do now to reduce my risk of fraud? Step 1. Develop strong internal controls by monitoring your bank accounts daily and conducting regular audits of your financial records. Step 2. Implement strict payment controls such as requiring dual control when submitting ACHs or wire requests. Step 3. Protect your financial data. Use multi-factor authentication on all of your online accounts and never use public Wi-Fi to check your bank records. Step 4. Educate yourself and your employees on how to spot common scams targeting small businesses such as phishing scams and social engineering tactics. This is key to preventing financial loss. Thanks for letting us jump in and be a part of the conversation. If you ever want to chat or need help thinking through options, our team is here to help. Community First Bank of Indiana is a member of the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. All right, we'll let you get back into the main interview.
Yeah, excited to dig into some of that. First, I kind of want to go back to when, you started to sort of show your ability to show up and turn things over or improve operations and things. So like when you were in retail, talk to me a little bit about, when you first went into the shop, or how you got things set up to increase numbers, and
Sure.
Just walk through that process.
Well, golf retail is pretty interesting. I'm sure it's like a lot of retail, but there's so few vendors that folks that most golf operations will use, and there's very few really big on site, on golf course, green grass, we call it, facilities that do the kind of numbers that a Firestone or a Pinehurst or Pebble Beach or some of these do. So when I went in, I started really looking at different suppliers, different programs. When you work for a big company that's a golf company, they had their preferred vendors, but I really started reaching out and finding vendors that could do a lot for me, a lot of the trinkets, the divot tools, the this and that. So I partnered right away with some of the bigger, more retail companies to make these things for me. Started outsourcing things from overseas and that type thing to get just for good pricing on the divot tools and the glassware and those type things. So margins got better. I actually hired RMSA. It's a retail management company to manage my inventory levels by every different category, different items. So we got, our cash flow improved by, at that time we were probably carrying a couple $100,000 in merchandise. And we pulled that down about 40%, if I remember right, on our average inventory levels. And we're selling and turning and burning is what you do in retail. That time too, this would have been in 93, 94, 95. So the logos, a lot of the cap manufacturers and different companies were really playing with a lot of different logos that you see now, on the different headwear. And we played with a lot of that, where traditionally we had just had our club logo and that was it. Came up with member golf bags. We had a golf bag that was made with the member name, said member. And I think that first year we sold about 400 of these golf bags, so.
Wasn't there a layout as well too? Like just changing the layout?
So my first year there, we went in and, I worked for a guy named Tom Harris at Delaware Country Club in Muncie, and he was as great a retailer. Taught me really how to, I think about business. And he, I got in there, and the way the pro shop was designed, the way we displayed it, all these different things was just wrong. They'd have a round rack with medium shirts, so you'd look through the medium shirts, that type thing. So we went in, and I started telling Don Paget, who was our general manager at the time, hey, we need to do this. And Firestone was such a big premier property for ClubCorp that next winter they came in and redid the whole shop. It wasn't a little fine tuning of the things I recommended, but it was about probably $1 million redo to the club, and it's still in the same.
Sure.
It still looks like it did then. And we went in, we departmentalized it like you would a department store. We had the Greg Norman collection here. We had, Nike here, whatever, all the different brands. And we bought to keep those areas filled. So instead of buying a bunch of different shirts, rotating all the time, we'd find, say, 20 shirts that were really, really good. And we'd just carry a lot of back stock in that. And if one sold, we'd bring another one out. It was because Firestone was a place where is individual memberships and corporate. So one person would bring 3 to 7 guests all the time. So you always had different folks in there. That's how we drove so much business, because it was a lot of green fees. It was expensive to play.
Well, I got a chance to see some of this when you first came to Kokomo, and shout out Ken Lucas for even having that conversation and, piquing the interest, and then you getting involved has been wonderful. But walk me through when you first got to Kokomo, what sort of the mindset was and the thoughts were, because I remember seeing you going through the motions, laying blue tape on the ground, looking at the big windows and sort of envisioning family dining and where families would land, and the greens getting updated, and you had all these thoughts. I could see it. It's like your head was smoking going through the motions. But I'm curious, what were your thoughts when you upon first arrival and first tour of the club?
Yeah, it's always fun when you first come in, because you're coming in blind, and every club is different. You don't use the same approaches at each club. Kind of ducking and weaving all the time, trying to figure out the priority, and everything you do costs money, obviously. So how and when you spend your money, and the best way to get the best ROI, in clubs is membership.
Mm-hmm.
It's a dues business. Always mention that. Everything we do is to generate more members. But we were, some work had been done on the club, on the downstairs portion of the club. Really nice. Scott Pitcher had done some great work down there. In the upstairs room, the dining room is unbelievably great space. It's as great as restaurant space. The bar, the woodwork, the views, everything's really, really nice. And first part of the facility was, hey, this is the spot. We need to get this spot looking nice. And to do that, we needed upgrade our food and beverage operation. We needed more staff, more servers, a chef that can deliver the product we need to deliver, and those type things. So it all went in sync, but we started this project on the dining room and redid everything: carpet paint, window treatments, and got this room to where it's really a great room now. The furniture in there, the tables, it looks,
the music, there's ambiance now. It's really a relaxing environment. The chairs are super comfortable.
Yeah.
And
that was all part of it, getting the right look, the right chairs. And we still got some work to do. We'll keep working on it. And, I've always been a fan going through all this, that you do a little bit all the time for improvement. Don't do it all at once, and, which is hard to do financially too. But if you're growing it and always making it a little bit better, always making it better. I think we're the things we're doing this year, with the pool, we've got our pool, new liners, building pickleball courts, got a lot of good things going on, and it's just a little bit each year to make it better and better.
Right. Let's talk a little bit about the team. I know we mentioned food. Maybe we'll just start there. I'm excited to have Chef George on the spotlight. I think what we're going to do is bring it to the club, and we've been talking about just ways that he could maybe, and I get some free food in this too, so just get some samples laid out and have him talk through his craft.
Sure.
But maybe talk a little bit about the team and who is at the club now and why we've sort of elevated.
Yeah, well, sure. Over time, as things weren't going on an upward swing, first thing you do is probably decrease staffing. And as we started pushing this up, we had 140 members last year, and with that, we were able to enhance the staff, and we've done it, position by position. And right now, I think we've got as good a team as there is maybe in the state. Chef George Coons, he came on right about a year, 11 months ago or so. And our golf course has always been great. It's a Ditto golf course. It's built in 1904. Been known around the state for a long time. Our superintendent, we made a change there, and we actually got Chad Allen, who's the he was a superintendent at Chatham Hills, and he's just done an unbelievable job. He's actually, we're in the middle of about halfway done with a bunker renovation, redoing all of our bunkers, which is a big deal. That was probably the one area of the club, or the one area of the golf course that really needed work. And Chad's come in, and his team's just doing an unbelievable job, pulling the greens back to kind of the old the design. We're expanding them back out to where they were originally, that type thing.
Wasn't there like over an acre added of just like the green enhancement across all 18 holes? That's incredible.
And what happens is when they mow greens, they mow in circles, and they just get a little smaller over time, and you lose that much space. You lose a lot of pin positions. Right. The whole play's a lot different. If you can get the pin, if you can get the green pushed back 3, 4, 5 feet, just where the edges, and a lot of our greens are pushed up and over the back, it's not a good spot. These old golf courses being long is not a good thing. But being able to push those back 3 or 4 feet makes that golf course it's a world of difference. So he's just doing unbelievably great things in the 6 months he's been there. And then we hired Rick Witt he was the pro at Bridgewater Club for several years, played golf at Ball State, great teacher, good player, good retailer, shop looks great. So we're really pretty set. I got an office staff that's unbelievable. I have Kristen Moore helps me with membership and marketing, and Amanda Richards, we brought her in last year to help us with the bookkeeping and the billing, and there's a lot going on. And member billing is being sure you get that right. It's got a lot of folks, and at clubs people don't sign, or it's a little different than you throwing your credit card up there. It's just people walk in and grab something and go, and just being sure you get it right, which is a cool thing about being at a club.
Let's talk about some of that stuff. I know billing in the past was something that wasn't right? Like there would be errors, there'd be these anomalies, etc. So let's talk about, it's just bluntly, right? What were the things that were maybe really tough a year ago that have been hurdled sort of now?
Yeah, billing was first thing I heard from everybody, from the office staff to the current staff, and I think it was just a matter of not having experienced people in each role, and when you set up a point of sale system, it's always about how you set it up. Right. If it's set up incorrectly from the start, which these were, then it's never going to be right. And when you have food minimums, the club used to have a food minimum, which is, amount of money that you had to spend monthly on food and beverage. And so you're trying to run this credit working against sales with, I got this credit I got to spend. And if people didn't apply it, it created problems. And so every time I think when members got their bill, it was usually oh no, I have to edit it and have to, or have to really look through it to be sure this thing's correct. And now I don't think we have that. We were able, just on that note, we've changed software, which is an unbelievable. Our new program was set up right. It's great with an app on the phone. Yeah. I can sign up for events. I can do anything you should be able to do. You could control your whole life at the club, see your bill, right, see each invoice, and that's helped us a lot. Our billing errors are pretty minimal. They're about what a normal club would have. So that was a big obstacle. We had our pool. We had a pool that had a cover that, or a liner that was put in that wasn't the right liner, and we had leaks in our pool. And if you have a leak in a very big pool, you're putting water in it. Also, it was a $40,000 mistake, right, or not mistake, but a problem that we had to overcome. So pool was a little bit of an issue. Really, that was about it. Some growing pains when you're working on a club, sure. And I always call it a kind of a restart up. We were really not a startup, but we were. But club's been here since 1904, so it's hard to call it a startup. But we were a restart up business, and I feel pretty good from where we've gone in a year. I feel really good. The team.
I think the members would echo that as well, and some of the community members that have been out there and seen it. Members are unique, right? A lot of times they're entrepreneurs themselves, sure. Or they're organizational leaders. How do you navigate Well, let's just go with this. What has been their feedback and sentiment in this like last year, right? Like all the members and whatnot. Again, you got all these folks that are leaders, that are running organizations, have pretty high standards. What has their feedback and thoughts been thus far?
And to lead into that, I'm going to back up a little bit. One of our biggest issues we had last year was a few years ago, the club had hired a management company to run the club. And when they left, the financials, when you don't have good point of sale, and the financials had been a struggle trying to get numbers. So trying to get my arms around a business without good financials was probably the biggest obstacle of everything else. That's one thing I'd never experienced in my life to at a club to work on. But we've got that in line now, and kind of leads into that. Now there's good financials. Everybody can look at our business, which is great, and kind of understand what's going on. Kind of the entrepreneurs, I love that about this club. I mean, these people are so generous and they understand the business. And you have a year or two when you come into a club that had a tough time. You got a year or two with a little bit of a grace period because they know what it was and where you're going. And as you grow it, you get to a point where they'll get more and more involved, which is great because, we did away with the board and the membership really allowed us to get away with the committees. We've got a board that we run everything through and we work through, but the committees really step back. And the reason they step back is each committee has an agenda, which they should have. That's why they're there. And we just didn't have the funds to do the things that the groups wanted to do. And, I said, please just let me get this in order and let me operate this thing and use the monies to do what we need to do to grow it. And we're there. So that'll start to come back in. And that's kind of what I look forward to with the entrepreneurs and the guys that are there, that now they can come in and kind of see what's going on, and they see how we've grown it, and I can talk to them about that, and they'll continue to add great ideas and great thoughts to the direction we're going, and not having a really defined good direction, I guess is that, and then they can help me with it. So
I love it. So with my work with the Small Business Development Center and the Indiana Economic Development Corporation, we partner with what we call ESOs, Entrepreneur Support Organizations, around the state. So I've got a 12-county district that we manage, and heavily involved in the entrepreneur ecosystem here in Howard County. And when I look at places where entrepreneurs go, if I want to show up somewhere and network and connect and find folks that need access to tools, resources, connections, other people, which is what I'm supposed to facilitate through the state work, I don't know of any better spot than the Kokomo Country Club to meet executives and leaders of organizations. I played golf with the MSG commander last night at Grissom.
Yeah.
And it just so happens that my young brother wants to get back to Grissom. He wants to get back home. So there's, just that's one example of many examples of just members and how getting in the way of opportunity as an entrepreneur is beneficial. But I think oftentimes in our work, the state work, it kind of goes over the radar that country clubs are ESOs. They're entrepreneurial supporting organizations that I would argue have maybe historically created more deals and signed ink and development projects, etc., than many others that are out. So it's been hugely valuable for me as a member of the club, like just, sort of rest and get some restoration and be around friends and create memories and whatnot, but also for my work to be able to help these entrepreneurs and connect dots and, get access to some of these people that are wildly beneficial to other entrepreneurs out in the Indiana landscape and beyond. So, And the club has hosted business events in the past as well, right? I think it's pretty common for a country club to have just different business events and whatnot. My next question is what are some things that are happening at the club that people maybe don't know about?
Well, I think one, the smallest from really good food. I think we've got as good a food as there is in town. Yeah. We got rid of the food minimum. We actually have a program you can participate in where all your food's half price, so the value is there on the food. I've always been a fan of everybody goes to Augusta National, goes to the Masters, and may cost him $3,000 to get there, but all he talks about the $1.50 pimento cheese sandwich. It's kind of amazing. Not that we're getting the $3,000, but I think anytime you get good value on the food, it just helps. Food's something the whole family, every club member uses the food and beverage area.
So no minimums on food stuff anymore,
No.
and then there's an optional half price food program for individual or family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then pickleball, that's the fastest growing sport in America, and we're building 2 courts that look unbelievable. They'll open. We're June 10th, I think, is our shoot, our date, and we're close. And we've hired a tennis or a pickleball pro to run our programs. So looking forward to having a team run that. Our pool is really second to none. Got a snack bar out there, a bar.
Mm-hmm.
We'll do some music out there. It's a kind of the home away from home. Your whole family could come out there in the summer and spend the whole day, whether it's playing golf with Rick. We do a lot of golf clinics now. Last week we did a chip and sip for the ladies' night out, and golf clinic, come in, have some snacks, hors d'oeuvres, and drink wine, and had a big group, and they had a great time. And just ways, keep thinking and having ways that we can have an offering for everybody. We opened a kid zone. So we do babysitting on Friday nights, and we did it last Wednesday night when the ladies came out. So when there's events that correspond with it other than Friday nights, we open up kid zone, and as long as you're there, it's free of charge. And the golf warming up here, we'll go out and do a little bit of putting on the green, putting out on the putting green, then go down the kid zone, pool open, they can go to the kid zone. So it's a somewhat of a daycare type offering for folks when they're out utilizing the club, husband, wife, or husband,
it's
whatever
been a great
it may be.
space
So
for us personally, right? We did that. It was us, the Robertsons, the Lambergs. We all had our wild kids, and we were able to actually have a meal together. The kids were being taken care of. They're in a safe space. They're engaging with one another, and we were able to actually talk, and it wasn't chaotic. It's just kind of some sacred space where it's quiet, and you feel comfortable that your kids are in a good place. So that was great for us. That was last weekend.
And I'm hoping we can expand on that. Those are the areas now. Now we've got a good feel. Last year we had 140 members, and when you had 140 members, most of them came in June, July, August.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of the tail end of the golf summer season. So it's really been interesting for us, and it's a little challenging for us to figure out exactly what those folks, how they would be using the club.
Right.
So we're still keep working on that programming to get them, the kids, everybody there, the ladies, I shouldn't say ladies, but the family members that don't play golf, ways to get them out there with clinics and, ways to have the fun with them on the golf course.
Right. And you're a big experience guy, right? So that requires, I think, you being empathetic to how people are using the facilities and monitoring, experiences and things of that nature, on all fronts. So walk me through a little bit of that, because I've seen changes happen, like culturally too. I think like within the staff that you've put together. I haven't carried a bag in a while. So maybe walk through some. How do you spot the things that need to be elevated, and what are some of these things that you're seeing elevated now?
Sure.
That maybe weren't there.
On the golf side, this year it's been, we've got a locker room. Very few places have a locker room. Very few places give you the service as you pull in where you don't carry your clubs. One of my things that probably drives me the most crazy in the golf world is when people are able to use their trunk as their locker room, bag storage, everything. And people carry their clubs now. It's not with them. They don't leave them in a bag room as often as they used to, because they travel and play more places. That's changed quite a bit. But really being able to get to the car, help them with the clubs, get them set to where you don't have to carry clubs. Clubs are clean. If you bring a guest, we have guest lockers for you set up, whether they use it or not. It's a really nice touch to have guest lockers available. Really, when they come, we want them to feel like a member for the day. Not just pull up, go to the cart, play golf, come in, have a beer, and leave. You can do that anywhere. And at a club, you want to be recognize when you show up who you are. You know, if you got guests there, your guests are being told where you are, brought to you. You know, just the little touches that mean a lot.
Sure.
And to some degree, I mean, every facility is a little bit different, but we've got a few competitors in town with golf in general. You know, both are great places. You know, both are good golf courses. So we just have to provide a little bit more offering for the overall family for that versus figuring, hey, I'm going to pay X amount to play golf, and this is what I'm going to pay per round. You know, we need to have value in everything we do at the club, from meeting folks, you know, the networking side, great food. Hey, my family can come out. I can play golf in 3.5 hours if I want to. Right. You know, it's not a long round. It's, you know, everything I do is pretty convenient, fast, and available for everybody, you know.
What are some of the common misconceptions when you say the word, you know, when you say country club, you know, what are maybe some common misconceptions of folks that maybe have never been involved in one? Or
I think people, it's kind of interesting. We've thought about this a lot. I think people want to be part of something always. So the club people like clubs. I think the country club, the word country club sometimes has had a exclusive, just hasn't been people don't have a great impression of the word country club, but I think people like being part of groups and clubs. I mean, the Facebooks, all these things, all social media, I mean, they're all part of groups and they're all part of this. So I think part of that's going away. I think what's hurt country clubs in quite a bit is that summers, you know, when I was a kid, summers were 3.5 months. You know, I got out and I spent the whole summer at the club. Now summers are 2 months, and most people go on vacations now for 2 weeks. So you've really got about 6 weeks at a club. So even when you think about clubs, and then you got travel sports, and the kids world have changed so much that it's been I think it's part of the reason country clubs have struggled with some of this programming. And how do you get to these kids and these families that are so busy and not around on weekends? And, you know, so, you know, I think a lot of it for us has been weekday evenings. We do quite a bit, and trying to figure the times when people are home and they're so busy. If you can find a way for them to relax one night a week, that's pretty solid and pretty strong, you know, that you can do that. So those are the things that you try to do. And I think once people are at a country club and they see it, they don't feel like, hey, this is snobby. This is this. I mean, everybody has a good time there, and, you know, everybody gets along for the most part. And, you know, you have 300-400 people there and on a busy day, and you really don't have any issues that you have at a restaurant that might be open to the public, or a facility might be open to the public. There's always going to be something going on. You know, we're to the resort, dealt with everybody, and it's just a different world when you're part of the club kind of thing.
What are you most excited for going into these summer months and really this year?
Well, from the business side, I'm really excited. You know, we obviously have a sales plan, and we're tracking right on the membership growth that we anticipated. If we have one more membership year like we did last year, which we're tracking to, we will really be in a good spot for the club. We'll have monies to even do more things that we want to do. And once you get on this upward spiral, it continues to do well. There's a couple amenities I'd like to add, you know, at some point here in the next few months. One being some simulators and, you know, that type thing. Some outdoor dining space. Those are the next two things I think we do that'll be big hits for us. You know, there's a lot of outdoor dining, but most of it's in a parking lot, or, you know, your different areas at places, which are still not bad places to go if you like being outside. But we're sitting right there overlooking the golf course. There's really nothing much prettier with good food. And, you know, I think that draws more in with our dining programs and some of the things we're doing, that it'd be hard not to go there to have dinner or lunch or what have you. So, so I think those type things. So, you know, we doubled the golf rounds we did last year. We're still pretty wide open. We did 11,500 rounds. I'd like to see us get to about 14 or 15,000, which is which most of the semi-private public courses around here might do 35,000. So still a whole lot of access, and people come out and play quick, or come out with your wife that doesn't play, or your young child that just learning to play and don't feel like you're in the middle of a lot of folks, and be able to do and enjoy it and not feel rushed and that kind of thing. So get the rounds up a little bit, run successful tournaments. We're doing real well we had great member guests last year. It's always the big tournament at the club, and this year it's in the end of June. It's going to be something really cool this year. We've done some tweaks and things to even step it up a little more than we did last year. So just looking forward to that continued growth and figuring out these little ways to get these folks to the club, the new folks that we talked about, and get them using it more and more.
Yeah, just experience it.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So if I'm somebody, whether I'm a family, right, I'm looking at a place where I can land, and there's childcare and great food and swimming and amenities, and even just trainings and things like that, or golf shops or golf trainings. If I'm somebody who's a business owner and I'm wanting to get in the way of opportunity and networking, or I'm just a golfer, I want to play somewhere fast, I want to play somewhere efficiently, I want to play at a good course, and I'm an avid golfer. What's that next step look like to learn more, or get plugged in, or come meet you or the team?
Well, obviously you might come to the club and meet with us. Right now, I think the best now is a great time. Obviously, we're getting into the heart of the season, and we do a 2-month trial membership. And with that, it avoids initiation fees. It avoids some of the fees that we didn't have, that we had earlier. But it allows you to try the club for 2 months. At any category, we have dining memberships at just dining and our special events, to sports membership, pickleball, the pool, some golf type things, to full blown golf. But now's the time to do that. It's 2-month trial membership, and you can participate in everything going on, and essentially a member for the 2 months. Then you got a decision to make. And at that point, I think what we're going to do is, or what we are going to do is if you join after that, you won't pay the initiation fee. We'll have a time frame, probably a couple of years, that you be a member, and you avoid the $5,000. Our high-end initiation fee right now is $5,000, which is kind of cool. We didn't have that for 20 years, and now we're back up to initiation fees.
Well, I think that'll raise, right, if we continue to grow the club, right?
Sure.
And you start to, so there's a timing thing.
Yeah, and hopefully if we keep this membership growth up too, we could be full. Our membership could be full in 2 or 3 years, with what we on our golf membership side, which is obviously always the goal. So I know Kokomo Country Club used to have a full membership back, in probably the 80s, 90s or so, early 90s. So, but yeah, they can do that. They can email me it's just the letter J, Biggs, BIGGS at KokomoCountryClub.com, or just go on our website, KokomoCountryClub.com, and
cool.
All that information's there.
What's the address of the club? I'm trying to remember. I know if you can get on
1801 Country Club Drive.
Okay.
Country Club
in Kokomo.
Road. Yeah, in Kokomo.
Very cool. And I'm sure that's on the website.
Oh, yeah.
CountryClub.com.
Yeah. So, but come by, take a tour. You'd be amazed if you've seen the club. If you were at the club 3-4 years ago and looked at it now, you'd be amazed at all that's gone on. So we're pretty proud of that.
It is pretty wild to kind of look back. At the 1 year, like the change that's occurred, not only the billing, the logistics, but just physically, right? You go down to the Stag Bar, and it's a proper speakeasy.
Yeah.
Just the paint, the renovations, and all inside too, right? And then walking the course and seeing all the work that Chad's doing is incredible. Following him even on social media has been fun. I'm not an agronomist.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know much about grass. You can come look at my lawn at my house and learn that right away.
Sure.
But to be able to see all these things happening and the momentum being created is fun. And it's very entrepreneurial, right? To watch as empathy is ingested or injected into experiences, and adapting and overcoming and throwing tactical mud on the wall to see what sticks, and then adjusting from those things is very entrepreneurial. So to watch the board make decisions and listen in, and also just be watching things as they adjust and kind of flex and and be malleable. Taking in feedback and watching those feedbacks turn into results. It's just cool.
Yeah.
So I've enjoyed it and kind of watching your process as a tech guy, right? Digital.
Yeah. Thanks for all your help. And I got to tell you that membership is, I mean, they're so generous. That group is, that people always ask, what's going to happen with this place. I said, we're doing really well now, but that place will always be Kokomo Country Club. The folks there, they won't let anything ever happen to it. I've seen that in the last year and a half. It's been amazing. I don't think I've ever seen a group rally behind all the improvements and all the things that's happened at Kokomo Country Club. The group's been phenomenal. So excited about this year, excited about next year, and every year growing and keep making it better and better. So it's a cool place.
Very good. So KokomoCountryClub.com, and then your email again.
It's just the letter J, Biggs, BIGGS at KokomoCountryClub.com.
Cool.
Okay.
Well, man, thanks so much for being on.
Yeah.
And we'll talk soon.
Okay.